Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Scientific Committee. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend today due to the fact that I am snowed in at Ulaanbaatar. Nevertheless, I've put together this informative video in order for you to see my research and consider electing me for the $5 million grant. Down syndrome is globally recognized, and many people have some idea of what it is, or at least what those affected look like. There are three types of Down syndrome: mosaicism, translocation, and finally, the most common, trisomy 21. Trisomy 21 occurs on the 21st chromosome, hence the name, and is simply the addition of another chromosome 21, so that those with the disease have three 21st chromosomes in every cell of the body rather than two. Down syndrome is most famous, or infamous, for the visible differences that those affected bear. Those with Down syndrome have physical symptoms such as poor muscle tone, a single deep crease along their palms, known as a simian crease, eyes slanted upwards, short necks, a small head and face, along with very flat facial features. Along with these physical differences, trisomy 21 is the most common form of mental retardation. There are different variations of Down syndrome in terms of mental disabilities, ranging from mild to moderate. These disabilities coexist alongside a short attention span, impaired speech and learning abilities, as well as learning difficulties. The 21st chromosome is the smallest autosome in human cells and can be host to many different genetic diseases. The most common and obvious is trisomy 21. However, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and autoimmune polyglandular system have been linked to the 21st chromosome. Chromosome 21 has over 400 million genes and over 40 million base pairs. There's no change to the DNA or genes within the 21st chromosome when you have trisomy 21, simply the fact that you have 3 in every cell instead of 2. The reason this happens is that during meiosis, non-disjunction occurs. If it does occur, it occurs 95% of the time in female gametes and 5% of the time in male gametes. It is very rare for a child to inherit Down syndrome from non-affected parents, although if a mother with Down syndrome gives birth, there is a 35 to 50% chance that the child will have Down syndrome. In case you're unfamiliar, non-disjunction is the uneven distribution of chromatids during meiosis. It usually occurs during anaphase 2 of meiosis 2. It is because of this that when a gamete with an extra 21st chromosome becomes fertilized, the zygote has a third 21st chromosome instead of 2. This happens completely random, and the chances of it happening increase with age. However, translocational Down syndrome can be inherited. A parent can carry a rearrangement of genetic material between the 21st chromosome and another chromosome. This goes unnoticed and the parent is normal and healthy. This is known as balanced translocation. This translocation is passed on to the next generation. However, it can become unbalanced, leading to abnormalities within the 21st chromosome and ultimately Down syndrome. We can see this in the Punnett square, that there is a 50% chance that translocational gene will be passed on. The same goes for the family pedigree. 3 out of 5 children were affected, and those in the second generation that were affected gave birth to 2 children, to the left, 1 of which is affected, and to the right, 2 out of 4 were affected, showing that it is 50% all round. Down syndrome is usually diagnosed during the first or second trimester of pregnancy. A simple ultrasound or blood test can give an idea of whether or not the child is developing Down syndrome. However, these tests are not always accurate, as there have been cases of children being born with Down syndrome after being told they were fine. There are more thorough and more accurate tests a parent can take in order to be sure their baby is healthy. These include amniocentesis, where a small amount of amniotic fluid is taken from the sac surrounding the uterus for testing. Chordocentesis includes extracting blood from the vein within the umbilical cord and testing it for chromosomal abnormalities. Chronic villus sampling is similar to amniocentesis, although it is done earlier in the pregnancy, between 10 and 13 weeks. There unfortunately is no cure for Down syndrome. However, there are treatments for some of the physical and learning disabilities. These include speech therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and so on. No case of Down syndrome is the same, and everybody needs different degrees of help. However, biotechnology company Sangamo Biosciences are looking into a new way to shut down the third chromosome, possibly to be available in the future. This method includes injecting a certain enzyme into the affected zygote. This enzyme can target specific chromosomes and shut them down without impacting any other chromosomes. This treatment could be used for Down syndrome, Huntington's, and a variety of other genetic diseases. Down syndrome is the most common genetic disease, affecting more than 1 in 800 people. Due to this, it is important that research is further funded, due to the fact that so many people have the disease and many more are to follow. Down syndrome often leads to development of other diseases from early life, such as leukemia and heart troubles. However, there are several other genetic diseases, such as cystic fibrosis, which should be prioritized due to the fact that they are life-threatening and in many cases fatal. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope that you in the committee will consider funding me for my further research into trisomy 21 and other forms of Down syndrome.